So what don't you know about Odera Collins? What you don't know about Odera is that deep beneath all the persona that you see on social media is a very, very playful person. Yeah. That's for, because I've had people come to me and they're like, oh, that, they don't know how to approach me. I'm like, Auntie, just walk up to me and say hello. I will say hi back. There's no rocket science to it. So yeah, that's really what people don't know. I think every other thing is, I work in media. So when it comes to talking about my career, it's so versatile because I'm interested in a lot of things, but primarily production. So I lead productions at Blue Afrique Media, and it's such a blessing to do that. I am the director of experience at Blue Afrique Media. I also work in operations, I work in partnerships, I work in events and experiences. So there's a lot that I do, and it gives me so much joy to do all these things.
So how did you venture into media?
How I ventured into media. So the thing is, I always knew, now I don't want to sound philosophical, but I always knew I was going to be in this space. I always knew it was going to either be media or strictly entertainment, right? I was that child that grew up in front of the mirror. I was exposed to a lot of art, artistic content growing up. when I see people fan some artists now, I started fanning them like when I was like 5. I was Jenny from the block in my room, right? So yeah, and my dad is an artist, so it's been there. Basically, I always knew I was going to be in media, and I was just waiting for the time. But then there was a bit of an issue for me because I could write, I could sing, I almost could act. If I paid attention, I could dance. So, I was very flexible. I could speak very well. So I was like, do I want to be a newscaster? Do I want to be an actress? Do I want to be a filmmaker? What do I want to do? I was very confused from the get-go. But what happened was at age 17 or 18, I decided to intern. So there was this media company back then that I interned with, and I started out internships. I was learning how to, just learning the ropes of basic presenting, and yeah, from there, that was basically how I started out, and things started falling into place, or rather, let me not say things started falling into place, but more like the light was being set on the path. Interesting, intriguing, draining, difficult, easy. I'm trying to use, words to explain it. But yeah, the journey has been, I would say, something. And it has been an experience all the while. And why it has been an experience all the while is the fact that, being able to work in the different spaces that I've worked in. So I started out with digital media, presenting for digital media. I moved on to, I drifted off a bit from media. I started doing makeup. I was a makeup artist for a while. And then I came back. I worked in radio. I went back to digital media. And then I went on to, administrative management. And then I came back to this phase of what I'm doing now with Blue Afrique Media. And I've been there for going to 4 years now, right? It has been a learning process. And I think that one of the most interesting things is the fact that you can do anything. You just need to have the right skill, right? And by right skill or right experience means you must have passed through a process to learn. So you must have learned from someone, you must have worked somewhere. So I think one of the biggest virtues that I've learned to build and grow over my career is patience, resilience, and also resilience, and patience. And yes, I would say dying to self. Because one thing is, we're in an industry where face value is strong. So what do I mean by face value? Right? People would respect someone maybe because of how they look, how they sound, how they perceive them, than the actual value that these people come in with. And over time, you might get carried away, right? You might get carried away because you're seeing your mates, your so-called mates doing certain things, and you think, why I should be on the same pedestal. No. Everybody's race, everybody's journey is different, and it's important that you build the right skills for yourself and equip yourself for your journey before placing value on the surface, on the superficial things, basically. Yeah.
What do you prioritize? Is it your personal development?
So there are different in your journey. There are different levels. It's not about placing one above the other, but it's about doing the right thing at the right time. There is a point in your career. Take for instance, I see, because we've talked about networking so much, especially in the media tech space, right? And people think that is just the key to success. If you've not built character, you can't manage relationships. It's a no-brainer. And you need to build a certain level of character so that when you start networking and meeting people, aside character, right, let's not just emphasize on one. There's also the skill part. And sometimes it's not about running a short crash course. We have a lot of short courses online here and there. That's not where the real work is. Because if that's what you need to succeed, I'm sure everybody should have succeeded. But there's still a reason why a smaller percentage of persons tend to succeed more than a larger populace, right? So what happens, or what I would say for me, is there are things you prioritize at different levels in your career. There are times that you need to, at the commencement or at the beginning of your career, you really need to, first off, build the skill, learn the things you don't know, be very open to learning. One of my mentors would tell me that the best thing you can always do as a human being in general is to have the ability to learn, to unlearn, and to relearn. Because you need to let go of certain knowledge that you've gathered over the years. If you stick to, I've known this for this period of time, and you can't learn something new, you limit yourself. So there is a phase of your career where you should really focus on learning and, learning, keeping a good personality, keeping a good reputation, so that when the networks, or when it's now time for you to quote unquote network, or you're trying to network, you have value to offer to the networks. Because the thing about networking is, it's not just about meeting people, there's a value exchange. If you're trying to network with somebody and they want to network back with you, it's simply because you have value, or they perceive that you have value to offer them.
Is it romance or horror?
None. But so here's the thing, right? I think these days I would do rom-coms, romantic comedy. I want to laugh. Horror is a no-no. I don't know why you guys want to make me scared. Why are you trying to do all that? I'm a Nigerian woman to be called. I'm gonna plead the blood of Jesus over my life. So yeah, none. I would do action thrillers, action comedy. I would do that all day.
Okay. What's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote. So I don't have a favorite quote, but I would say that one thing that has stuck with me, aside my personal values, in my career, has been the understanding of the term "die to self," or rather, the quote "die to self." I've actually forgotten who said that to me. And it didn't, not like it didn't make sense, but I didn't take note until something happened to me one time. Or rather, I almost lost something. And then I realized that the issues I was having wasn't any other person, but it was me. And then I had to understand that I needed to stop taking myself seriously in certain things. Because oftentimes, as young people, it's not our fault. We're still learning. I feel like they didn't really give us a good manual for this adulting. Yes, they didn't. But I had to understand that your feelings matter, but you need to know where to put them in check. So die to self is one of my favorites, especially at this point of building.
So, do you have any advice
Advice to my younger self? Eat more food. Drink more water. Go for that party. You will be all right. Yeah, I think my advice to my younger self would have just been, breathe, you'll be fine. Because sometimes, you put so much pressure on yourself. You overthink certain things, and you focus so much on overthinking and pressure that you don't even do the work, right? Because you're overthinking. I used to be a perfectionist, but nothing grows there. To be very honest, nothing. You have to come to a point where you're realistic, right? And I think that that's something a lot of perfectionists aren't. You are not. What is obtainable with the resources you have, with the climate you're in, with the results expected? What is obtainable? Many times, the employees or the people who win the Employee of the Month are not the people who give the perfect job. They are the people who solve problems. They are the people who are prompt, who do things fast, who think on their feet. So not like perfectionism doesn't get you anywhere, but you can just start. Exactly. So don't take yourself too seriously. You'll be all right.
All right.